Hey, Kate, have you ever had a moment on a call with a customer when you realize that they might be slipping away?
Yeah, hate that feeling. Basically, you have got the signs and you've ignored them. You've had fewer logins, shorter sessions, but you haven't listened.
And if you're waiting on them to reach out, then you've probably already lost them, haven't you?
The reality is, if you get your signals early, you are more likely to be able to get them back.
That's what we're breaking down today, how you can re-engage these at-risk accounts before it's too late and before they hit that unsubscribe button. Hey everybody, welcome back to Marketplace Growth by Accoil. We are talking about preventing churn today. And Kate and I are going to go into some details. So we've got 3 steps about how you can go about preventing churn. So Kate, what is the first sign that you look for that an account is at risk of churning or leaving?
For me, it's your health score or your engagement score is dropping. We used to kind of have a set thing was about a 20% in a drop. That was a major red flag for us. Of course, yours may be different, but just a drop in engagement or the health
So
score.
like a 20% drop in engagement. Yeah, got it. So if they're not logging in or if they're not using, say, like key features, they're probably not going to get enough value. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah. Slow feature usage is another signal for us. So if they're stopped using core parts of your product, they're going to be struggling and you're going to be struggling. They're losing interest.
And how do you think about different account types? Are there some that are maybe more at risk than others when you're looking at account health or customer health?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of analysts there who've got beautiful segmented customer things. I keep it pretty simple. I'm always interested in my high value accounts, full stop. And I think also your first 6 months, your early stage customers are pretty important as well. I think they're probably, your rule of thumb is they're probably more likely to disengage in the first 6 months if you haven't got them.
Right. Okay. You've identified who they are. You flagged them. What comes next?
I'm a big believer of reaching out with purpose. You avoid the cold automated messages, and you would know this, those generic messages, Peter. Noticed you haven't been active. Email, I've just been absolutely bombarded recently with one of my accounts. So you know this, Pete. I mean, in your world, how would you approach this if I put it back to you?
I think if we're taking that proactive stance, right? And yes, I've experienced this even recently that got an email basically saying, we noticed that you turned off auto renew. At that point, it's like lost cause, right? So I think reaching out, being a bit more proactive, and this company too could have seen those signs. So actually, this is an interesting thing. It's like we've noticed that you're not using this particular feature in the last few weeks, or maybe we've noticed a drop in the number of users that are logging in weekly, daily. I think you can offer to get on a call, or you can just do this via email too. It's like, here's some ways that you might be able to get more value out of this product. I think something that you used to do really well, still do really well, but that I always took notes on was reaching out to make sure that everyone's happy without going into specifics, right? Because if you don't want to tell them what's wrong necessarily if nothing is wrong. So to me, that's a great way to be proactive about this, is identifying why that engagement score, that customer health score is slipping.
And I think, your in-app messaging, coordinating with that as well. I don't know if you've got views on that, Pete, but I think your in-app messaging can work as well, although we really are being bombarded these days, aren't we, with in-app messaging?
Yeah, well, you and I just saw this in a tool that we were on a call, and I think you went to one screen and there were 2, if not 3 pop-ups immediately. But yeah, I think ways of engaging with customers, you have all these tools. What about if you haven't heard from anyone across any of these channels? Like you reached out over email, you've done your little pop-ups and you're getting nothing.
Well, I kind of like a direct call. And I know people out there who've got thousands are going to be looking at me and rolling their eyes. But there's something about getting customers back when you think you've lost them. My God, it's a good feeling in life. So I'd definitely be saying if it's your VIP, high worth, I'd really be working hard to keep. So much better than getting a new one. So the direct approach. I personally think it's worth the extra effort.
I agree. I think that personal touch goes a long way. And we talk about this too, like getting on I think it's like a Jason Lemkin thing, is like get on the jet, go be in person. And that's a whole other topic, but showing up in person is a huge part of that. So phone call, showing up at events, knocking on their door. Let's say we've done the reach out, you've done your email, you've done the modals on the website, you've called or maybe even met them in person at an event or something like that, and they're not really responding. What's the best way to I guess at this point, initiate or move a conversation forward?
I'm a great one for the old support queues. The past conversations are just gold. They're just fantastic ways of just opening up. I reopen the ticket, literally. I reopen the ticket and I say, I know you talked about to us in the past and looks like you've got this solved, but if you haven't, I'd really love to talk to you. Plus, I've got some other things that I think will be useful for you, X, Y, Z. So I was very big, or I still am, is where use cases where I can. What you've told us in the past, we think this might be useful for you.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. And having seen it in action, I know it works. It gives you a really easy, good reason to re-engage with people. You're genuinely interested. Did we actually solve this problem? And by the way, here's some other things that you can be doing. And you can base that all on that customer health score and the data that you're seeing, like what are they using, what are they not?
That's right. So I'm using the support tickets. And indeed, if I've got a community, so Atlassian had a very strong community. And if I'd seen them engaging around certain topics, I would actually write to them about those topics to say, I saw you on the the forum talking about this.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that our product actually would let you do more of that ABC, whatever it is. I actually use multiple ways if you need to, because it's worth it. It's very much worth it. And I'm not talking the mass produced stuff, because people recognize that. I'm talking about, I saw you spoke this. This resonated me with this comment. This means sometimes other customers have done this. So I just wanted to let you know that you could also solve this problem by doing it this way.
Yeah.
And it works.
I think we often hear about leading with value and putting customers at the center of everything that you do, but that really does make it about them without pushing a sale or sort of forcing engagement, right? It's really focusing in on what they need and want right now. So I think that's, smart. Let's talk about something a bit different here. Let's talk about incentives and incentivizing customers to re-engage. When do you pull that lever?
I think you're very careful when you do. Again, I've just had someone who's just absolutely bombarded me, and indeed got to the point where they would give me the product for a subscription for 80% off the price. And I'm like going, you are sounding desperate now, guys. So judicious use. You just don't want to train your customers to disengage to get a better price. So you've got to be really careful. So for me personally, I would go for things like offer or up free training sessions, one-on-one, where you can engage and connect, feature trial, make them feel special. What are some things that you do exclusive on access? Big believer of all of these sort of very, I am interested in you, I value you, and this is why I want to do this for you.
Yeah. I was smiling because I can see how you could train people to disengage. I'll sit back until I get my 80% discount, and then we can be best friends again.
I actually do. That's exactly what I do. And I usually get myself 30, 40, and even 50%. I subscribe, and then I don't, and then I don't, and then they come back with offers. That's actually, they shall remain nameless, but shall I say, that's how I actually get myself cheaper prices. I've learned that.
As the one that sort of oversees the money in the company, I'm kind of hoping that none of those companies are watching. So anyway, we'll move on and just pretend like that didn't happen. Hey, I don't disagree with it as a tactic, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on our customers, though. Okay, so giving them things that are valuable, giving them things that are ways to re-engage with them. Again, this is all like focusing back on the customer. It's about showing them not just how to use the product, but why they should actually stick around, maybe even expand their use of the product. What else has worked really well in the past? I know you've had your own playbooks. Anything that you want to share?
Really being clear on that segment that you really want to keep. They're influencers, or they just are very, pay a very solid subscription. And so I kind of like to always have them talking with our product manager. So a lot of people don't get a chance to do that. So we would set up 3 monthly, 6 monthly calls, and amazing the time people would give us, and the amazing the feedback. Like, they really wanted us to have a good product when we were at Proforma, really wanted us to have a good product. And so we were very fortunate. And then we would then talk about that as our roadmap. So we kind of got double the use of our time. We knew they were safe, they were keeping with us. We got extra ideas, and then it helped us to give a roadmap that people would get excited about.
So then you have to actually execute on that, though, right? Because I think that is one of the big hangups of, submit your ideas and then nothing ever happens. And that's a bit disheartening as a customer, someone that's done that and seen, these idea tickets float around for literally years. Anyway, I won't gripe about it. I think I love that idea. And having seen it work, Simon being the product manager, almost like there's a little bit of we're going to bring the actual owner of the product on so I can give him or her a piece of my mind about it. But then actually executing on that, I think, is really a great way to keep them engaged, right? Now we've taken action. The next question that I think everyone's going to ask is like, how do I actually know if it's working?
Again, this is about just monitoring, and people do not over egg this, but things like your engagement recovery rates, if they back, their health scores, are we getting those health scores back up there? And your churn prevention rates, are they staying active over time? So that's kind of, I keep it reasonably simple.
And what if one of these key accounts, these high value accounts, just doesn't respond to you?
Well, if you've got a customer, so I've been talking as if I didn't have anywhere else to send this. So, probably acting like a customer success team in lots of ways. But if you've got a customer success team, then escalate it up. And if you don't have it, because, they are the specialists and they are the ones that really, really get in there deep and roll up the sleeves. But if you don't actually have that, then I would actually just introduce someone else. So what I would introduce someone like your product manager, or I would introduce your engineering manager, believe it or not, So I would actually just introduce someone else to see if they will talk to them.
Oh, I think that's a really good approach. Yeah, different faces, different approach. Yeah, sometimes can actually break that ice, can it? So I'm going to start wrapping us up here. Quick recap. How do you save at-risk accounts that are looking like they might churn? So Kate, you want to walk us through a summary of what we hit on today, those key points?
I would say you spot your early warning signs. declining engagement, low feature, etc. I'd reach out with purpose, not just mundane, boring, automated emails. I would leverage your past support conversations, or if they're in communities, I would use incentives, but judiciously, and I would use other things like one-on-ones or access to early features, etc. I would set up structured check-ins, big on those ones, and Atlassian, indeed, structured engagement check-ins, and I'd track your engagement, not overcooking it, but I would track to see if we did that work, and you actually can then actually test to see which pathway works better for you.
And what would you say is if you're going to walk away from this video with one thing, what would that be?
Oh, just don't wait until they've gone. If you can get those early signs and do something about it, more power to you.
And if you haven't already, you can go to accoil.com and check out how you can actually build these customer health profiles and these customer health scores so that you can actually see this stuff coming based on customer health trends over time. So your future revenue certainly depends on keeping your customers happy and keeping them longer. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you. And more sales to you, people.